Janine Pirro here with an urgent warning. While we celebrate Trump's historic win, inflation continues to drain your IRA and 401k. And China is now targeting your money with a kill shot on the dollar. That's why thousands of Americans are shielding their savings with gold and contacting the experts at Colonial Metals Group. For a free 2024 gold guide that explains everything, go to freegoldguide.com/Pirro, Pirro, or call 800-965-8004. Don't let America's enemies ruin this victory and steal your retirement money. The experts at Colonial Metals Group are the only folks that I trust to bulletproof your wealth in gold. Go to freegoldguide.com/Pirro or call 800-965-8004, 800-965-8004 for a free 2024 gold guide to learn how you can protect your life's work and if you can qualify for a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver now. freegoldguide.com/Pirro.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host at 77 WABC here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends, to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Here on 77 WABC. If you would like to be part of the program this afternoon, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222. There is plenty to talk about. I would extend a heartfelt invitation for those of you who feel that a wrong has been committed to discuss it. When it comes to the verdict that came earlier today, Daniel Penny, not guilty. My own view, of course, is that I think the right thing was done. And this is a case that should have never come to trial. But there are many people with opposing views, some people, and some of them are not happy. We have audio bites from some of the activity that took place outside the courtroom, and I'm sure this is going to bleed into some of the other areas of the city, perhaps. I hope not. But it's not going to just fade away. It will be discussed. Hopefully it will be discussed peacefully, despite the threats of some that they see this as a reason to begin burning and committing acts of violence because they feel oppressed by a jury verdict. Also today, as you know, we have been introduced to a new name, Maggione. Maggione. Yes. Who is now looking very much like the police have got their man in the assassination of United Healthcare CEO, Executive Brian Thompson, last week in New York City. Arrested, as you know, in Pennsylvania, eating McDonald's. He was eating at McDonald's, having, I guess, what turned out to be an unhappy meal. When he was picked up, a worker recognized him. He reportedly has been found with a gun, a silencer, false identification cards, identification with his name on it, also a handwritten manifesto criticizing healthcare companies for putting profits above care, which is what many people suspected was the motive for this. We shall see how that develops. And by the way, the fake New Jersey identification he used is the same, apparently, that he used when he checked into a hostel in Manhattan on November 24th, prior to the assassination. There's all kind of other news. Liz Cheney has her, whatever they are, in bunched up. She's responding to President Trump, who had an amazing interview on NBC. You know, I saw my good friend Lionel had a post on social media wondering why Donald Trump would go to NBC, and I have expressed similar reservations in the past, saying that, you know, when you have these outlets that are so biased, why give them the time of day? I think, and Princess Diana, of course, had a very different view when I suggested that in the debate season. And she said one of the things that Donald Trump would do would go into the lion's den, as it were, and just totally, fearlessly have a command performance. Well, that is what Donald Trump did on this Meet the Press interview. Donald Trump, without notes, no notes, zero notes, talked with this woman for an hour plus. It was, I think, an hour 10 minutes, an hour 15 minutes. No commercials, by the way. Just straight talk, no breaks. Just laid it out. And they covered a lot of territory, a lot of different topics, a lot of subjects about his administration, incoming administration. He nailed it so hard. And we have a cut or two from that too. We could spend the entire show going through cuts. But one of the things he did was talk about J6. And of course, she was anxious to see if Donald Trump is going to have a second term that is built largely on retribution. And Donald Trump poo-pooed that notion, except to say that if people are guilty, if they're corrupt, then they should be held accountable. Liz Cheney has hers in a wad today because he said he would throw members who sat on the House committee in jail if they are, found guilty. And so she's out again today with her spiel about Donald Trump attempting to overturn the 2020 elections and seize power. He mobilized an angry mob and sent them to the U.S. Capitol, which is not true. But we can get into all of that. And we shall. Let us for a minute go back to the situation of Mr. Neely, Jordan Neely. 30 years old. And I didn't know this until I restarted rereading the stories. I had forgotten it, I should say. That he's over 6 feet tall. Is that important? Yeah, it is. Because when you have somebody at that height and threatening, not that it's, look, believe me, short folks can menace people too. There are some short thugs in the world that are really scary. But when you have someone that looks, that is tall, that is whatever, the guy's lanky looking, the pictures that you see of him are always, a lot of the pictures in the Michael Jackson garb. He was a Michael Jackson impersonator. And so you might think, oh, what is he doing? The moonwalk? Is he bothering people? No. Mr. Neely, 30 years old, homeless, and Marine veteran Daniel Penny, 24 years old at the time of the incident. 24. On his way to a gym, taking the subway. So Mr. Neely gets on the subway, and says that he is not afraid of going to prison. He's hungry. He's thirsty. He's ready to die. There are reports that came from there that garbage was thrown at some people, that he did it looked like he was lunging at other people, approaching people, and Mr. Penny stopped it. He stopped it when it looked like this could spiral totally out of control. He put him in a chokehold. They ended up on the ground. There were also two other people trying to hold him down, by the way. Now, what do we know about Mr. Neely? We know that he has had 42 arrests prior to this incident, had been arrested 42 times. That averages, of course, more than one arrest for each year that he lived. 42 times he was arrested. Now, some of them were for what people might consider minor things, not paying his fare in the transit. But among those arrests were some that involved aggressive behavior. Who was he? He was a troubled soul. There's no doubt about it. When he was 14 years old, his mother had been murdered by a man she was with in a relationship. Her body was found in a suitcase on the side of the Henry Hudson Parkway. He was called to testify at the trial. After his mother was brutally murdered, he spiraled. Major depression, turned into schizophrenia. I shouldn't say turned in, but he also exhibited schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorder. He was placed into foster care. Extensive, as I said, criminal history, 42 charges. Some of them petty larceny, jumping subway turnstiles, theft. But this is what is important when you look at the arrest record. 3 unprovoked assaults on women in the subway. On 3 occasions, assaulted women in the subway. Had been involuntarily hospitalized for his mental issues. So you have these arrests, and in between them you get theft and homelessness, and he's got schizophrenia and PTSD. He's troubled. And beyond troubles, he's acting out in ways that could escalate. Of course, after he was dead, then the politicians showed up at his funeral, including AOC, including Jumaane Williams, Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado. Al Sharpton delivered his eulogy. Al Sharpton, who I wonder if he had ever met him before, ever seen him in New York while he was homeless. If he did he pay any attention to him? If he ever ran across him, would he even know? And Sharpton dismissed the characterization of Daniel Penny as a good Samaritan, saying a good Samaritan helps those in trouble. They don't choke him out. Well, Mr. Sharpton, Daniel Penny did help those in trouble. Those in trouble were the people that had fear for their lives, including women and children. And Penny recounted when he was brought to questioning that he said, I'm going to kill he said that Neely had entered the train saying, I'm going to kill everybody. I could go to prison forever. I don't care. And he also said, of course, he did not mean to kill him. He didn't intend to kill him with his restraint. He was trying to de-escalate the situation, which he did. He said the main threats, he said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm prepared to go to jail for life. I'm willing to die. I'm willing to die. And so if you're on a train, a subway train, and this is happening and you feel like your life is in danger, I think most of us would be grateful if somebody stepped in to defuse that situation, that knew how to defuse it. It is terrifying, especially given the circumstances of what has happened on New York trains. Now, I have a great deal of sympathy for Mr. Neely as well. These cliches that we hear and we use, the system failed him. They become so used that they become almost, I don't know, ineffective as a way of explaining what happens. But he was sick mentally. And what is the reaction to that? To throw him in jail over and over again, knowing that this man has no real means of holding down a job, of being a productive member of society. He's mentally ill with schizophrenia, with this post-traumatic stress that he had lived with, I guess, almost for 16 years following the death, the murder of his own mother. And he had spiraled out of control as a human being. And what is the response that he got in his life? We spend hundreds of millions of dollars sheltering, providing food for people who have entered this country illegally, who don't even live here, who are not citizens of this country, and yet, America's own children are left on the streets to fend for themselves when they are incapable of fending for themselves. That is failure on a large scale. James Golden, Snerdley, 800-848 WABC. We're coming back. Don't go away.
It's the Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Rush
on 77 WABC. It's the Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Now, here's Bo Snerdley.
Because to be real, they didn't even try. The charge was removed. They came back an hour later and said it was deadlock. Less than an hour and 20 minutes later, they said not guilty. These wonderful white people, I hope they celebrate their Christmas while the Neely family is praying and asking God for comfort. Damn them and damn America.
Yeah, that was BLM, a BLM person. We also have the other leader of BLM, Hank Newsom, and we'll hear that shortly. Meanwhile, on this day in 1988, a poll was conducted of U.S. music. Neil Diamond came in first. Beethoven came in second. Luther came in third. What was it? The best background music for sex was the poll. Neil Diamond, number 1. Beethoven, number 2. Luther, 3. Okay, 1988. James Golden Snerdley with you here.
Tell you how you thrill me.
Luther Vandross.
Happy as I can be, you have come and it's changed my whole world. Bye-bye.
We're going to take your telephone calls coming up soon. In fact, a lot of people want to weigh in on this. And you all know the case. There's not much I can add to it, except to say that I do think that this is a failure of major proportion. It is not just a failure of the judicial system with this political persecution that Alvin Bragg racked up again. This obviously should have never come to trial. But, I hate using the expression. I wish there was another expression to say it. That this was a massive failure for Mr. Neely. He should never have been on the streets. This man deserved to get help. We have a system where people are reaching the arms of the American taxpayer out in almost every country in the world to help other people, but citizens of our own country cannot get, whether it's after a hurricane or a natural disaster, or in this case, everyday life, because guess what? Mr. Neely's not the only one. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Jordan Neelys in American cities. People that deserve to be cared for. And to see if they can be at least brought to a place where they are not a threat to themselves or to others. Again, if anyone wants to take issue with the verdict, I open the phones for you too. Meanwhile, let's just check in and see what people are thinking. Let's start in Manhattan with Ellis. Ellis, welcome. How are you?
Bo, thank you so much. Love you so much. Daniel Penny, he was persecuted, of course, by the liberal snakes, just like Donald Trump was. But my point is, you were just describing 6 feet, former Marine, 24, on the way to the gym. I want to know what gym this guy's working out at. I would advise him to find the best photographer and come up with a sexy calendar, for 2025. And he can even theme it, cuffed or pinned down, and really get those sexy pics out. I would buy them to pay off those legal fees, brother.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't believe he's in a position to have to pay off the legal fees because of the outpouring of support. What I understand is that his GoFundMe actually raised well over $1 million, and it could be more than that. Now, I'll have to double check that figure, but I recall reading that his GoFundMe raised quite a bit of money. And I don't think that he should try to publicize himself in any way. Yes, people consider him to be a hero, but let's remember something. I'm sure, just based on everything about this man's character that I've read, that he is not celebrating the taking of a life. And I'm sure that he is finding, I don't want to say regret, but it's not an easy thing to do for people with conscience. And I don't think he's the type of guy to go out and try to brand himself and merchandise and try to come up with something based on this incident. I don't think he's that kind of person. I would be surprised if that happens. Love you, man. Thank you for the call. Jacqueline in Brooklyn, you're up next.
James, good afternoon. I'll be going to Mass tonight, and I'm Catholic, and I'll be giving thanks to God for guiding the jury to come to their just decision, in my opinion, acquitting Daniel Penny. And I hope this also helps him in his civil case that the father of Mr. Neely, Jordan Neely, is bringing against him. And at the same time, I hope that Jordan Neely is finally at peace after the horrific, troubled life that you described in great detail. And when D.A. Alvin Bragg is up for re-election, the people of the city of New York, they need to remember this particular case. And at the same time, they very carefully need to look at the criminal court judges as well as to vote those like this one in this case out, along with the civil court judges. And finally, James, you need more time. And I would like for you to have the 2 hours on Saturday afternoon instead of the middle and left versus the right.
Well, look, I don't get involved in any of that. I'm happy to do what I do, but I thank you so much for your kind words. And let me just say this, too. I feel horrible for the family of Mr. Neely. And a lot of people are remarking about his dad. His dad wasn't present in his life, and now all of a sudden he's coming around to sue. And I don't know what all the circumstances are of that. And so I'm trying not to judge his father harshly. You know, I think that this is such a failure. It is such a failure, and it goes beyond Neely. And I'm sure most of us, if we went outside of our own extended families, and even sometimes in our families, understand what it's like to deal with someone who is mentally ill. And the fact that there are so many mentally ill people, and there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands that are not getting the care that they should be getting. Meanwhile, we have to look at us as a nation spending your tax dollars, my tax dollars, on bringing in people and supporting criminals from other countries here, while American citizens who desperately need intervention are completely ignored. And I hope that that's one of the things that this incoming Trump administration addresses. They are addressing it with the immigration, but I also hope that we as a nation commit ourselves to not just seeing what's taking place in this country with the mentally ill and just shrug our shoulders at it. Who's this, Carlos?
This is Madonna. This is Hang Up by Madonna, one of my favorite of hers. But on this day in 2001, Channel 4 TV apologized to viewers after Madonna said the Kamala Harris's favorite swear word, as I can recall.
It's not my favorite word. The MF word.
Yeah,
during
she said,
live.
Yeah, with the at the end.
At the end, yes. Live on TV in London. And they could not bleep it out for some reason. Yeah, time for us to check in with traffic. And Kim Commando, your call's coming up 800-848-9222. Stay right there.
Rush.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Bo Snerdley.
On 77 WABC.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Just like everybody else has vigilantes, we need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Right.
I'm tired.
Tired.
I know you're looking for us to be like, oh, go and march. Go and march. No. This weekend, I want you to hold a community event everywhere from the Bronx to Houston to Seattle to Florida. Black people hold community events and talk about what you need.
Yeah, that's more BLM. That's Hank Newsom. Talking about he's tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of all this rhetoric You know, it's where are these guys with this being tired every time some black kid is killed by some other black kid, which happens almost every damn day in America? Where's all the concern about that? Where's all the concern about the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of black people that are killed by other black people in America every single freaking year? Why is it that when a white guy's involved, all of a sudden we got to listen to, I'm tired of being oppressed? Black lives only matter when they can be expediently used for political purposes. I never heard this guy once complain about all the black babies that are murdered in the womb. Not in his wheelhouse. You talk about the most oppressed. Oh, boy. Anyway, 1978. Chic. 7 weeks at number 1. Nile Rodgers, Bernard Edwards. Oh my gosh, so many hits. And they became the epitome of the disco age. And of course, Nile Rodgers went on to become one of the greatest producers in the business. New York.
It says here, the last thing on the mention, that it wasn't going to say freak out, it was going to say something else.
Yeah, another F word, but it was changed, thankfully. You know, Diddy uses that F thing too. Oh, you see, Jay-Z and Jay-Z's not going for this one. Jay-Z has been accused of a heinous crime, but he's all out there with this is an extortion. So we'll see how all that plays out. We're going to take more of your telephone calls. I got a text in the break that says breaking, Taylor Lorenz has disabled replies on her post after being called out for being friends with Luigi Mangione. Now, that's all I have. I don't know yet whether there's anything real here, whether there is anything that can be substantiated. For those of you who don't know it, Taylor Lorenz is the former Washington Post tech columnist. And she has been openly celebrating the death of Brian Thompson. If there's a there here, her career is done, in my view. If there's a there here. Later in the week, Princess Di, I know you're listening out there. I want to talk about this NBC. NBC, our 10-minute interview with Donald Trump. It was off the chain brilliant. I have one. It's 3 minutes. One to play from it. We could play them all day. But she tried to get him into a discussion on J6. Listen to this exchange with Miss Welker and Donald Trump.
Just remember, unselect committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, and after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it, and they destroyed almost everything. There's nothing left. It's unprecedented.
And they deny
If you
doing
do that in a civil case, you go to jail.
You know they deny doing that. And officials say that the order never came in for the National Guard.
A statement.
On January 6th, let me ask you this about January 6th. I think
Benny
you're going to want to
Thompson
answer
wrote
this.
in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me ask you this about
It's
January
amazing.
6th.
I wish you could be you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me. Like Secret Service testified and disputed everything. It made them into a bunch of liars. Not Secret Service, it made the people. They got rid of it because it made Nancy Pelosi, the mayor of D.C., so many people look like criminals. And I will tell you, it's illegal for them to delete and to destroy that evidence.
Let me ask.
The press was obviously unfair to me. The press, no president has ever gotten treated by the press like I was. And yet I got more votes than any Republican candidate in history. By far. It's not even close. So you say, what's that all about? The press has to straighten itself out because, honestly, it's lost all credibility. When that can happen, based on the press, I should have gotten no votes.
He is rocking her world, folks.
And yet I got the highest number ever. And the reason is because I'm able to go on a show, even like yours, even though you're very hostile, I'm able to go on a show like yours.
Boom.
You are.
Well, hopefully you thought it was a fair interview. We covered a lot of policy ground.
It's fair only in that you allowed me to say what I say. But, the answers, the questions are, pretty nasty. But look, because I've seen you interview other people like Biden. And
I've never interviewed President Biden.
When I say you, I'm talking metaphorically.
Okay.
I've seen George Stephanopoulos interview Biden, and he's a tough interviewer. It's the softest interview. I've seen CNN interview him. They give these soft, what's your favorite ice cream? It's a whole different deal. I don't understand why. You would think the press would like to see strong borders, great education, a powerful military, so we have a country left, and all these different things. And somehow they don't want to see that.
Donald Trump rocked her world. And I mean, you could just hear it at some point. She's trying to move on from this. And she kept doing this. As always, every question is from a Democrat talking point. And Donald Trump rocked her world. This is beautiful to see. And by the way, Democrats are mad. They say that Joe Biden is the lamest of the lame duck presidents. He's the lamest lame that there has ever been because right now he is doing nothing in his final weeks, and Donald Trump is in the spotlight. They are angry. I have that story buried here among the other stuff. We got to take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up with your calls. We didn't even get in detail with this whole CEO assassin. When we have time, we'll do that this week, too. Okay, Sarah Smiley, you all know the song. Birthday today, Sarah Allen. She is the Sarah of Sarah Smile. She used to work with Hall & Oates. Although they never married, she was in a long-time relationship with Daryl Hall until 2001. She contributed on many of their hits, like Private Eyes, I Can't Go For That, Man-Eater. This song was written about Sarah Allen. Born today, 1954.
Won't you smile for me, Sarah?
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley. On 77 WABC. It's the Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Now here's Bo Snerdley.
Some of the other birthdays we won't have a chance to get to today. Joan Armatrading, British singer and songwriter. I love Joan Armatrading. Walter Orange from the Commodores. Donny Osmond's birthday is today, too. And Sam Strain with the OJs. You're listening, of course, to Love Train. 1973 went number one here in the States. The OJs. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour.
James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Let's grab as many as we can. Just keep it brief, folks. Get your main point ready and nail it. Let's start with Mike in Oceanside. You're up next.
Bo, hey, Bo, how are you? Real quick, I don't have time. My question is this, and no one never asks. These people, they want to change these young kids into transgender there, to boys into girls and vice versa. Do any one of them think of the idea to ask a question, what if they do that to the wrong child? What if this child they do this to change his sex, and his family's connected to one of the crime families? He might be a high-ranking up there. I mean, do they think of what could be the consequences with that? I know you don't.
I doubt it. That is a scenario worthy of a movie, my friend. Write the script. Robert, in Brooklyn, New York, you are up next.
Thanks for taking my call. Well, on Thursday, December 6th, the FBI arrested again a 57-year-old grandmother, Susan McLean. They put her in handcuffs and leg irons. They shackled her for misdemeanors, not violent crimes, but misdemeanors relating to January 6th. Shame on them. It's not the first time.
Is this the woman that went into the Capitol and stayed there less than like 10 minutes and did nothing? She just walked around and then walked out. Is this the one you're talking about?
I believe that's the one, the 57-year-old grandmother. They did it again, and they need to reform these places. That's why you need people like Kash Patel to reform these places. And how could you unify with people like that?
Change is coming. Donald Trump, on this Meet the Press interview, reaffirmed that he's going to deal with this J6 situation, and he described the prison conditions that these people are under as being filthy and unworthy of this country. Change is coming, Robert. Neil in Bayside, Queens, you're up next.
Hello, Bo. I came in a little bit late. I heard you say before that nobody cares about blacks killing blacks. Well, I'm white, and I care about anybody that kills anybody. It's a terrible thing. I don't care if you're white, black, green, or purple. It's a terrible, terrible thing.
Absolutely. And Neil, what I was talking about was this BLM guy, Hank Newsom, who's now calling for black vigilantism and BLM. And what my concerns are, BLM is nowhere to be found when you have this rampant crime going on in every city, every blue city in America. They're silent. But yet he can come out in full outrage over this Daniel Penny verdict. I want you to call back, Neil, and let's talk about this. I love your statement. I care when anybody kills anybody. That, my friend, is the true enlightened view. Thank you. Chris in the Catskills, you're up next.
James, Mr. Penny benefited from getting the best possible legal defense available to him, and Mr. Mangione, the CEO killer, he's entitled to the same.
Alleged killer.
Maybe
at
Ron
this point.
Maybe Ron Kuby would volunteer to take his case. He practices law in the state of New York, and it seems like it would be a good fit. You, myself, and Katie Torr on MSNBC are all in agreement today that the healthcare system in all these cases with mental health treatment not being available for the person who Mr. Penny had to restrain and unfortunately passed away, what we need to do is put up a funding bonding referendum like what was put up in New York State 3 years ago, where it called for a large sum of money for green environmental initiatives, didn't really explain what it was going to be used for, and it passed in the state of New York. We need to put up a similar level of funding to reconstruct from the ground up mental health facilities, comprehensive on all levels, all throughout all of New York State.
Let me tell you something. Chris, I love your energy, and I love you. We disagree politically on some things, but when you say we are all in agreement, there are so many of us. We have to address this as a society. This is sinful. To have so many resources flowing out of this country while you have so many people in distress inside this country. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, always, for your being here with me and allowing me to be with you. God willing, back tomorrow for Bo Snerdly's Rush Hour.
Roger Stone here with an urgent warning. While we celebrate Trump's historic win, inflation continues to drain your IRA and 401k. And China is now targeting your money with a kill shot on the U.S. dollar. That's why thousands of Americans are shielding their savings with gold and contacting the experts at Colonial Metals Group. Gold has protected American wealth through every financial war. For a free 2024 gold guide that explains everything, go to freegoldguide.com/stone or call 800-747-6589. So go to freegoldguide.com/stone or call 800-747-6589. That's 800-747-6589 for a free 2024 gold guide to learn how you can protect your life's work, and if you qualify for a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver right now. That's freegoldguide.com/stone.
Larry Kudlow here with an urgent warning. While we celebrate Trump's historic win, inflation continues to drain your IRA and 401k, and China is now targeting your money with a kill shot on the dollar. That's why thousands of Americans are shielding their savings with gold and contacting the experts at Colonial Metals Group. Gold has protected American wealth through every financial war. For a free 2024 gold guide that explains everything, please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908. The experts at Colonial Metals Group are the only folks I trust to help you bulletproof your wealth with gold. Go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908. That's 800-621-3908 for a free 2024 gold guide to learn how you can protect your life's work, and if you qualify for a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver right now. Freegoldguide.com/Kudlow.